was a custom shirt or it was made by Here's the deal, gents. Everybody wants quality, but nobody wants to pay for it. Guys, I'm going to give you tips and tricks to look for when you're out there buying shirts, you're buying jackets, you're even buying shoes, how to get the best for your money. You ready, guys? Let's do it. Quickly spot quality denim. Let's look at the stitching at the bottom of the jeans, right here where they do the hemming. So what am I looking for? Single line, solid stitching that's straight. And notice right here, the number of stitches per inch. Overall, a clean, nice layout. And notice right there on the edging work. Just a great job right here. Compare that with this mess. So right here, I've got loose stitching all over the place, all different types of stitches. The issue here is as soon as we start to wear this, as soon as we get a loose thread, this is all going to come unraveled and it's not going to look good. And let's even compare that to a simple pair of work jeans. Notice how the stitching here is cleaner. It's simpler. This is what you're looking for in jeans. You want function. You want something that's going to serve you, that you're going to be able to wear and is not going to fall apart. Let's talk shirts. And the first thing I'm going to look at is the collar. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to say, do they have collar stays? Basically the bones. If they don't have collar stays, that's not an indication that it's a bad shirt, but it's also not a good sign. Collar stays are going to help to maintain the shape of the collar. The collar is one of the most expensive parts of the shirt whenever they manufacture it. So another thing I'm going to look at are the stitches per inch on the collar. And this is something that you can ask for a tape measure. What you're looking for is anything more than 8 stitches per inch. Once you start to see 14, 16, that's really good. If you see 12, that's acceptable. You see 10, that's fine. But if you start to see 6, the issue here is whenever you wash this collar, it's going to start to pucker up. It's not going to be something that's going to be able to stand up in the wash. Now let's turn the shirt around and let's look at the back. Do we see what's known as a split yoke? The yoke is the part that sits on your shoulders. If you see a split yoke where they've cut it in half, this is a great sign of quality. It's a little bit more expensive. You usually see this only on custom shirts because what this means is that they're trying to account for the actual differences in shoulders. Manufacturers that do this, I think it's a great sign of attention to detail. Speaking of attention to detail, let's look at a striped shirt. And why not look at solids? Because with stripes, there's an additional thing that they could mess up and you want to see, did the manufacturer pay attention? Did he match up the patterns? So look at the stripes. Are they aligned? And this can become very difficult, very expensive. Why expensive? Because you're going to be required to use additional fabric. You're going to have to cut from different parts of the fabric. You're going to have to line it up. This small detail right here, a lot of the bigger manufacturers skip, but make sure if you find somebody that does, you can be assured that they're paying attention to other things. One of these other things, when you look at the bottom of the shirt, basically where the front of the shirt connects to the back, look for a gusset. This is going to be shaped like a triangle and it's an extra piece of material that's sewn at this connection point. Why? Because it's going to prevent tears. It's going to prevent issues later on. And I think, again, it's going to add a little bit more time. It adds to the price, but it's a great sign of quality. Next, you're going to want to take the shirt and turn it inside out. So when you look on the inside, what are we looking for? The stitching on the inside. Everyone pays attention to the outside, but when you look on the inside, you see, did the manufacturer pay attention to the details? Did he finish the stitching? Are there loose threads all over the place? Is it something, well, wow, this, I could actually wear this inside out and it would still look pretty darn good. That is a great sign when they paid attention to the details on the inside of the shirt. Now let's go back to the front of the shirt and let's look at the placket. This is going to be the side of the front where we've got the buttonholes, and you're going and you're looking at the buttonholes and you're looking at the way that they are sewn. They should be tight. There should not be loose thread. You want to look on both sides, then go all the way down to the bottom and flip it over, and you should see extra buttons. This is, again, a small detail, but something that's important. Every shirt should come with 2 extra buttons. Now you're going to notice one of those buttons is small. That is your gauntlet button. Your gauntlet button you're going to find over on your sleeve. So when we go over on the sleeve, we should see it's the button that goes right before the cuff. And moving on from the gauntlet button, let's talk about the cuffs. So the most common cuff you're going to see out there is the single button barrel cuff. This is an easy cuff to adjust because you probably will need to adjust it. You should be able to button up the cuff and you shouldn't be able to slide your hand in or out. If you can do this, it's too loose and just simply move the button over. Now, you will see some other styles out there. This right here is a 2-button cuff. I love this style, but you're going to see it more on custom shirts, a little bit harder to adjust. And you're also going to see French cuffs. French cuffs don't mean it's a fancy shirt. They just simply mean it's a more formal shirt. They also don't really have much to do with quality because some manufacturers still mess this up. But if you're going to wear French cuffs, make sure that you've got cufflinks and that it fits you properly. Now, occasionally on shirts, you're going to see monograms. Monograms are oftentimes seen on custom shirts. You're going to also see them on higher end manufacturers who want to basically have the owner be able to put his initials right in there. What's the historical significance? So monograms come from whenever basically in large families, you had to be able to separate laundry. Yes, it was a practical purpose. If you've got, 7 brothers and they all wear white shirts every single day, literally you've got like 50 shirts in there. You don't want to have to go through that and try to size it up and then be able to separate them. No, you just simply go to the monogram. So that's the historical significance. Now people like to be able to indicate, oh, this is a custom shirt. It's a fancy shirt. I think they're fun, but to each his own. And let's not forget buttons. Buttons are such a great way to be able to instantly spot quality. So first up, did they sew the button on correctly? A lot of times they skip over this. They actually have loose threads. So if you see, okay, they did a great job here. They've even got a shank. Basically, that's where a wraparound at the base of the button that raises it up off the clothing, makes it easy to button and unbutton. But next up, let's look at the type of button. So right here, we've got a mother of pearl. Mother of pearl, this is where they stamp it actually out of a shell, and it kind of disappeared in the 1920s and 30s because basically the laundry detergent was causing these to disintegrate. They started bringing in plastic. It was cheaper, and on the vast majority of shirts, you will see plastic. Nothing wrong with plastic, but mother of pearl they're harder. They're going to last longer because today's laundry detergent doesn't do anything to them, and they're just a great sign of quality. You get these thinner buttons, which just look better, and to me are a great sign. Now, we talked about all the different style details. Let's talk about the fabric. Fabric is so important, one of the major costs of actually making the shirts. But fabric, a lot of people don't really know what to look for. So when you see a shirt and they're talking Egyptian cotton, they're talking about, oh, this is Sea Island cotton. That's all great indicators. But an easy way is just simply to grab the shirt and to crinkle it up right here in your hand, hold it for about 5 seconds. And then when you let go, what you should see is it should go back to close to its original. Yeah, you may have a few wrinkles here or there, but it should still have a nice drape to it. If it doesn't, this could be cheaper material. Next up, let's talk about shirt fit. And by the way, this applies to jeans, this applies to jackets, this applies to anything. When you see that a manufacturer only has small, medium, and large, that's not a good sign. What you want to look for is a wide range of different sizes. Or if they've been very clear, you know what? We specialize in tall, thin men. We're built for the big guy. We only target men who are under 5'9" and are this body type. That's a great sign. Why? Because they've chosen to exclude most people and make clothing for the body type that they actually have decided is their target market. So look for the manufacturers that have the slim fits, that have the roomier cuts, and they are very specific. They don't just have small, medium, large. They actually have the neck measurements. They've got the sleeve measurements. They actually have maybe even adjustments in the store. I love it when a manufacturer says, hey, you know what? We will adjust it here because we want it to fit you. That shows that they pay attention to fit. So when they've got a wide range of sizes, they've got a wide range of styles. When it comes to jeans, they've got it for the fit guy. They've got it for the slim guy. They've got it for the heavier set guy. Those are the great indicators you want to look for. The more options they give you on sizing, or the more narrow their focus, that is a solid indicator you're going to find something that fits your body type. Now let's talk about jackets. And I'm talking about suit jackets, sports jackets, blazer jackets. Now, if you're familiar with my style pyramid, I talk about fit, fabric, and function. And when you buy a cheap jacket, you're compromising on all of those. I get it. Some of you guys have a really tight budget and you just need to wear something one time. I get it. Then do it. But here is what you're sacrificing. When it comes to fit, with cheap jackets, you're going to find that they do come in small, medium, large, or they're only going to be in a 42 regular, not long or short, or they're actually not going to have a slim cut. So the sleeves are going to be really large. You're going to find that when you raise your arms up, the whole jacket's shoulders are going to go up because you've got this huge armhole. The design of these jackets, they're made to fit as many body types as possible. So when it comes to the fit, there's not really even much a tailor can do. He can adjust it to a bit, but yeah, he's going to look at the fabric. He's going to look at the material. He's going to look at the build quality. He's going to say it's really not worth it because you paid $100 for this jacket. But guess what? For me to make all these alterations, $100 to $200. Oh, and by the way, when he opens up a cheap jacket, he's also going to see that they haven't given him any excess material to really open it up. Or really the design isn't going to lend itself to being slimmed up. So all of these limitations, when he goes in and he looks on the inside, right here what we've got what's called the canvassing. You're going to find on these cheaper jackets, they actually glue the canvassing together. This is a very inexpensive and fast way to be able to manufacture the jackets. Actually, I think they've come a long way in the last 30 years, but it's still not to a point what we've got with a floating canvas. So the difference between a fused jacket, a glue jacket, and a floating canvas is a floating canvas has been sewn together. And this sometimes can take 10, 20, 30 hours. And that's why basically floating canvas jackets that use horsehair and a wide range of different materials, they are so much more expensive because over time, over 20 years, over 30 years, over a decade, this is going to move a bit as you move. And guess what? It just kind of floats in there and it is made to work with your body. Glued does not do that. Maybe the first wearing when your body and it was adjusted to fit you, it may look okay. But after you send it off to the cleaners, after you've worn this a few times in a hot Texas summer, you sweat right into this. It starts to actually pucker. It starts to change. And that's the problem with these cheap jackets is that after a couple years, they just don't look good. They start to develop just things within them that you can't use versus a floating canvas. You can even get that adjusted. The tailor can open it up. He'll look at the shoulders. On a cheap jacket, they're going to use basically a foam. Right over here, they're going to use more of a padded cotton. These are the small details. And let me be clear, not all quality jackets are going to have a floating canvas. This jacket right here is incredibly lightweight. It really doesn't even have much of a canvas here in the front. But they do brag about, oh, this is from Loro Piana. And so we've got a very good Italian fabric. And that's what you're going to find with a lot of the higher end manufacturers. They're going to brag. Now, I mentioned function. What do I mean by function? That is going to be the style of the jacket. Is it a timeless style or is it something that's probably going to be out of fashion maybe in a decade or two? Cheaper jackets, oftentimes we're going to see they're going to go with try to jump on some of the style trends and it's not going to look good, even when they think they get it right. Yeah, they're just too skinny on the lapels or the proportions aren't going to work for the body build. But other times you're going to find some manufacturers that know what they're doing. They're going to have fun with the inner lining, bring in something really bright. They're going to have a fabric. They're going to find that just with the higher end manufacturers, they get things right. They've got designers that went to school for this, that actually pay attention to these details, that see and they run it by people. And it's like, wow, this is actually incredibly beautiful. Now, when it comes to fabrics, in general, you do want to stay away from synthetics, especially jackets that are made with 100% synthetic material. Now, when you see a 50-50 blend, meaning 50% wool, 50% synthetic, I understand why they did this. They're trying to save money. The fabric can be one of the most expensive parts of a jacket. Just be very careful. Some of those, though, can be very hard wearing. I'm not going to say everything is bad when it's using synthetic, but I'm going to say understand the purpose of the material. This jacket right here is 100% linen, and I know why it's linen because it's a summer jacket. It's a breathable jacket. If you're looking at a cotton jacket, understand what you're going to get with that material and then say, oh, does it serve the purpose or did the manufacturer just try to, save money and he went with that material because of that purpose? Quick tips and tricks to be able to spot quality on a jacket. Look at the buttons, very similar to shirts. You want to see how are they sewn on. This one, as you can see, has a shank. What is the material they're using? Is this horn? Horn is more expensive. It's a great historical indicator of actually where, heritage with the buttons and everything like that. Let's look at the sleeve buttons. Are they working sleeve buttons? That isn't always a sign of quality, especially if it's an off-the-rack suit that they wanted to make sure would fit some guys with longer arms. Because the issue here is if you buy a jacket that's got working sleeves, it was either custom made or it was made only to fit a smaller subset of men. Because this jacket right here, if they really wanted to make these sleeves, let's say an inch shorter, you would have to actually take the jacket off at the sleeve head, which is a very difficult and expensive type of adjustment. Now, this jacket right here is unlined. So whenever you see a jacket that's unlined or they're using fancy glossy lining. They've got design all on the lining. Another small, quick indicator of quality, but unlined jackets are going to be more expensive and are a sign of quality. Why? Oh, they're using less material. But here's the thing is they can't hide everything that you can hide with a fully lined jacket. So an unlined jacket, they've got to really make sure that, okay, people are going to look at this. They're going to spot, I got to make sure that all my sewing was correct. It's just, if you can imagine, the difference between a laptop and a desktop computer. Laptops cost more because they got to make everything smaller and they got to make it look good. Another sign of a quality jacket, look at the back of the jacket. If it's got a double vent, or in some cases, no vent, that's a great sign. If there is a single vent, that's the least expensive vent to manufacture. And I understand it. It's Brooks Brothers. It's the old, sack suit. But really, it just doesn't look good whenever you put your hands in your pocket and all of a sudden you're exposing your backside. Yeah, guys, go for the double vent on the back of the jacket. So this next trick to spot quality, most people don't know. So right here on the front of the jacket, you should be able to tuck that right in and go from a flat pocket to a jetted pocket. If you can do this, the tailor paid attention to the manufacturer, to the build of the jacket. Oh, and by the way, if you find that you can't open up the pockets on your jackets, understand that that's tack stitching. You can remove it. It's there. They put it so that during the shipping process, the jacket isn't damaged, but you want to make sure to remove it right here on the chest pocket because, yeah, you want to put a pocket square in there. Now, really quick, let's talk about how to spot quality socks. There's a few indicators you can always look for. One of them, small wiener dogs. That's always a great sign. But now, seriously, look at the shape of this sock. It's shaped like a foot. That right there is the first indicator. When you see just a tube sock, that is not a good sign. Next up, let's look at where the sewing is at on the sock. So if it's at the very end of the toe point, that is not good. What you want is for the sock to wrap around and right on the top of the toes, about 3/4 to a full inch deeper back into the sock. That's where we want to see the stitching. Next up, let's look at the placement of the elastic. So right here on the elastic, we want that right up there at the top. We don't want it throughout the entire top part of the sock. And then let's talk about the sizing. I talked about this earlier, but when you've got specific sizing, you've got a left and a right, and you've got sizes that are, for different types of feet, that's what you're looking for. Those are great signs of quality socks. Oh, and I almost forgot sports and no-show socks. So right here on the back, you should have an adhesive that basically helps keep the sock right there on the back of the heel. I find that this right here makes a huge difference on whether or not the sock is just going to end up rolling. That's the worst. Whenever the sock rolls up and gets stuck in the shoe, yeah, that's a bad thing. So now let's talk about shoes. And what I want to start with is these boots right here. They are glued together. And some of you guys may think, oh my gosh, they must be poor quality, because that's what I say in general. But understand that glued shoes have a time and place, and these have a combat boot design. They're actually not made to be resoled. They're made to actually have a very tough rubber sole to be able to run, to be able to, hike through the woods and things like this. And that's where actually some types of glues actually work really well. You think about running shoes. You think about just shoes that don't need a Goodyear welt or don't need a Blake stitch, which are great forms of construction, but are not perfect for every type of shoe out there. So when it comes to a Goodyear welt, what is this? It's a very particular type of build where we've got a stitching. Basically, we've got the shoe, the upper and the lower part of the shoe are connected by a welt. Now the Blake stitch is slightly different. It doesn't have a welt, but we still have the upper and the bottom part of the shoe that are connected and they are directly sewn together. So the small difference here is that you've got one extra layer of protection with the Goodyear welt. It's going to make them a little bit more water resistant. But again, if you're in an area that doesn't deal with a whole lot of rain and you want a sleeker, cleaner looking dress shoe and you're not going to wear them in inclement weather, then it really comes down to what you're looking for. Now, when it comes to being able to spot a Goodyear welt or a Blake stitch, oftentimes just look at the bottom of the shoe. Right here, you'll oftentimes be able to see the stitching, and that's a great indicator. And many times the manufacturers, they're going to tell you straight up, we are using a Blake stitch. We are using a Goodyear welt, because they know that you guys are becoming more informed, that you're looking for things like this. But be careful, because some manufacturers who make glued shoes are actually putting what appears to be a fake, like decoration in there. I've seen this, and it's like, why do you even try to do this? Another thing to look for, I love a leather sole. I get a lot of you guys don't want it because you don't want to slip and slide all over the place. We'll just go ahead and, maybe add a rubber sole onto it. You can just go to a cobbler or do it yourself, or just make sure that, hey, they've got a rubber sole right here on the heel. The point being, look at that sole and use the information it's given you. And to reinforce that point about all glued shoes are not bad, guys, when it comes to running shoes, you wouldn't want a Goodyear Welch. You wouldn't want a Blake stitch here. It's just not going to work. But you do want to make sure when you're paying attention to the shoes, think about, okay, have they thought about the fit? Have they thought about the function? See, it all goes back to the style pyramid. When it comes down to the shoes, look at what the information the manufacturer is giving you. When they say, hey, our shoes are made for this particular type of individual, that is a great sign that they've paid attention to the details. When they say that they're for everybody, understand that they're for nobody. Because if you try to appease everyone, you're going to end up creating something that doesn't serve people's particular needs and basically what they want to get accomplished with the footwear. And let's not forget about the upper. If the manufacturer paid attention to the material they're using in the upper part of the shoe, which is most of the surface area of the shoe, you can bet that they paid attention to the sole, they paid attention to the build quality inside of the shoe. So right here, they used a good quality leather. They actually went through and used a different contrast in here, good quality laces, all of these details. When I look at the tongue, this right here indicates to me that I don't have to worry about the insides of the shoe. But if you wanted to, let's talk about that. So when it comes down to the insides of the shoe, yes, gentlemen, there is a huge difference between cheap and quality. And if you want to see that, I've got you covered with this video right here, where I cut cheap shoes in half. And by the way, I'm also going to link you to the other video in which I cut quality shoes in half and I cut quality boots in half. I've got 3 videos. I will put the links to them down in the description of today's video and in the comments so you can go over there and learn more about quality shoes.